On one level, it's a funny question, because I think there's a lot that they already know. Um, there's a lot that they know about the work that the Lord is doing, and I do wish that they would know more of it, that they would be more aware of the work that the Holy Spirit is accomplishing in drawing people out of the darkness and, to the sun. It's the same thing in some ways I wish I knew more of. I wish I was more aware of the ways in which the Lord is at work on our continent, so that I would sometimes not be as discouraged as I am when I see so many churches preaching falsehood, so many people trapped in a lie. So I pray for the entire church, not just the American church, that the Lord will be kind with us, so as to show us how His work is not being defeated, not by falsehood. That even in places where there's such poverty, in some cases, so many other evidences of brokenness, that even in those places, the Lord's work is not thwarted, that He's still at work, bringing people to Himself, and that we would all rejoice in that very work. If I was to address the American pastor in a critical way, I'm more hesitant that way, because I wouldn't say I have much knowledge of the American pastor. I can assume stuff, so I'd almost ask him to forgive me if I'm wrong. But I'd say I pray that they would be aware that that the most powerful tool that they possess is not their finances, but rather it's the good news that that has been granted to them, and that as they come to us, that they would be most aware not of the physical evidences of brokenness, but that they would be most aware of the spiritual evidences of brokenness. I pray that both for them and others, that we would not just merely be moved by the things that can move an unbeliever. I think it's possible for the United Nations, for example, to take a couple of videos and describe horrific and sad events or situations across the continent. But I pray in the church we would be as moved and as grieved and be broken and weep at the thought that there's people who have not yet heard about Christ. That there's people who think they've heard about Christ, but what they have heard about Christ is something other than that which is true. And I think in too many cases you see churches that will spend tons of resources and people not doing work that's useless or meaningless. That's just to be clear. It's important to care for needs that are physical, and if anything, I think we might need to do more than what we're doing. But I pray that when it's measured in proportion to how we are moved and how we think and how we give and provide for ministry that's more basic, namely the gospel work, to proclaim the gospel, to support those missionaries who are going out to proclaim His name, that there would be an appropriate appropriation of efforts and funds and focus when you compare those two things. So that's what I would hope to encourage the American pastor with.